Spurs' number 42 pick just outplayed the number 2 pick. Kobi Gillespie scored 25 points and led San Antonio to a 94-82 victory, while Utah rookie Darryn Peterson finished with 15 points on just 4 of 16 shooting. That is the information the box score gives you immediately, but it is not the full answer. By the end of this video, you will understand why the Spurs' defensive plan created such a difficult night for Peterson, what he still did well when his shot disappeared, and whether Gillespie's performance was merely a summer league moment or real evidence that San Antonio found another guard capable of helping an already crowded backcourt. Peterson's appearance was a surprise before the ball was even tipped. Utah had rested him against Chicago, and once a highly drafted rookie is removed from a summer league lineup, teams often decide they have already seen enough. Some Jazz coverage connected his return to comments from Chicago rookie Caleb Wilson about wanting to keep playing, but there has been no public confirmation that those comments changed Utah's decision. What can be said with confidence is that Peterson wanted another opportunity. He returned for his 5th game in 11 days, accepted San Antonio's pressure from the opening possessions, and kept competing through his worst shooting performance of the summer. The surprise was not simply that he played, it was what the Spurs forced him to reveal. The shooting numbers were undeniably rough. Peterson made 4 of 16 attempts, missed all 3 of his shots from beyond the arc, and never established the rhythm expected from a player drafted 2nd overall. Many of his misses came up short, which supports the possibility that accumulated fatigue played a role. Utah as a team shot only 37% from the field and 21% from 3, so Peterson was not operating inside a functional offense that consistently created easy opportunities. Still, elite prospects are judged by the possessions they control, and San Antonio made those possessions uncomfortable. The Spurs crowded his driving lanes, sent aggressive help, and forced him to make decisions before he could settle into his preferred scoring spots. That is the first result that matters. The Spurs did not allow Utah's best prospect to dictate the game. While Peterson was fighting through pressure, Kobi Gillespie was controlling the game from the other side. The 42nd pick scored a game-high 25 points on 10 of 21 shooting, made 3 shots from beyond the arc, delivered 5 assists, and added 2 steals. He did not win the matchup because Peterson missed shots. He won it because he consistently created productive possessions for San Antonio. Gillespie changed pace, found scoring windows, and punished Utah whenever the defense failed to contain the first action. The Spurs improved to 3-1 in Las Vegas, and their second-round guard looked more comfortable carrying offensive responsibility than his draft position would suggest. That does not make him a better prospect than Peterson. It does make the gap between pick 2 and pick 42 look irrelevant for one meaningful night. And this is where the result connects to the real Spurs. San Antonio already has De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper occupying the most important backcourt roles, with Devin Vassell also requiring significant touches. Gillespie is not entering a situation where minutes will be handed to him because the roster lacks guards. His path is harder. He must create value without controlling the offense, defend with consistency, make open threes, and organize reserve possessions when one of the primary creators is unavailable. A 25-point summer league performance does not guarantee he can do those things against NBA rotations, but it shows that the basic tools are present. When a second-round pick can score, pass, and generate steals in the same game, the coaching staff gains more than another developmental project. It gains a legitimate option. There is also an important reason not to overreact. Gillespie is 22 years old, while Peterson is only 19 and entered the game as the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd concern on San Antonio's scouting report. Utah's defense did not place the same level of attention on Gillespie that the Spurs placed on Peterson. Summer league spacing is inconsistent. Lineups change constantly, and one hot shooting night can create an illusion of readiness. Draft order is based on long-term projection, not which player wins a single July box score. Peterson remains the higher upside talent, and Gillespie still has to prove that his outside shooting, defensive positioning, and decision-making hold up when he no longer receives 21 attempts. The correct conclusion is not that San Antonio drafted a better player at 42. It is that the Spurs may have found more value there than anyone expected. The rest of San Antonio's production supports that interpretation. Hyunjung Lee scored 22 points in only 22 minutes off the bench, and RJ Davis added 14 points with 12 rebounds. The Spurs did not depend on one prospect monopolizing the ball. They received scoring, rebounding, and energy from several parts of the roster. That balance made the pressure on Peterson more effective because Utah could not create the same single target at the other end. Every time the Jazz threatened to regain control, San Antonio had another player capable of extending the possession or punishing an open look. This is the kind of summer league success that can translate organizationally. Even when most participants never enter the permanent rotation, the system created opportunities, and Gillespie was the player most prepared to convert them. For the Spurs, Peterson's response was useful information as well. San Antonio will face elite creators throughout the Western Conference, and those players will not always be stopped by one defender. The young roster had to communicate the blitz, rotate behind it, and recover towards shooters without surrendering control of the paint. Peterson still reached the line and created 4 assists, so the execution was not perfect, but holding him to 4 made field goals shows that the collective plan disrupted his rhythm. More importantly, the Spurs were able to apply that plan without sacrificing their own offensive organization. Gillespie's 5 assists against only the pressure of a competitive game gave San Antonio a player who could answer one difficult possession by creating a better one at the other end. That two-way sequence is more valuable than an isolated scoring highlight. The consequence for Gillespie is now clear. He has moved from being an interesting second-round selection to a guard who deserves a serious development plan. That could include G League possessions as a primary creator, selected NBA minutes when injuries or rest affect the backcourt, and opportunities beside larger playmakers who can reduce his burden. His fastest route is not trying to become another Fox, Castle, or Harper. It is becoming the guard who connects those lineups, defending the point of attack, keeping the ball moving, and punishing defenses that leave him open. If the shooting becomes reliable, his 5-assist, 2-steal profile makes sense around San Antonio's stars. If the shot remains inconsistent, the crowded depth chart can remove his opportunity quickly. The 25 points open the door, but his complementary skills will determine whether it stays open. That is why the final score is only the beginning of the story. Darryn Peterson's 4 of 16 night showed that San Antonio can make an elite prospect uncomfortable, but Kobi Gillespie's 25 points showed that the Spurs may have another solution inside their own backcourt. Peterson remains a potential franchise scorer for Utah. Gillespie does not need to become that for San Antonio. He only needs to defend, organize, shoot efficiently, and stay ready when a crowded rotation creates an opening. If he does, pick 42 could become one of the quietest values of the draft. And if you want to understand why the Spurs are building so much insurance behind their primary guards, watch our full breakdown of Jordan McLaughlin's return next. It explains how San Antonio is preparing for the nights when talent alone is not enough.